Well, hello everybody. Thanks for joining me for this Hangout on Air as we are experimenting with different ways of transporting our insights from the events. Welcome from Las Vegas, from the first day at the Workday Rising. I'm here in the very nice Delano Hotel in the AMGM complex with pretty good networking, so I hope the audio is good for the many friends and pundits out there who've been complaining about the outlook, and to people commenting on my looks on my last email. So I hope on my last video preparing for this. So I put something in the Showcase app if you're listening, which is a collection of the Storyfy tweets of the keynote this morning, which are public there. Some interesting ways if you want to know more, if you get bored at looking at me here, just browse the Storyfy collection. It's a great tool, in my view, to collect where I'm taking my notes, and that's on Twitter. But let's don't go any further, and with no further ado, what are my top 3 takeaways from today's day and probably all of Workday Rising? No surprise, would blog post about this. Workday completes the talent management suite, right? Talent management being recruiting, onboarding, performance management, compensation management, and learning. Learning was something missing. Many analysts, many customers have given Workday a hard time and been asking when is learning coming. Anil Bushri in the keynote this morning was saying, well, it was not such a well-kept secret, but hey, for this analyst, it was a surprise it was coming. So well done from that perspective. In overall industry perspective, it's interesting for customers to see that there's this renaissance of learning, right, which is kind of like overdue to a certain point. Many of the best of breed winners have done tons of things in regards of using the new tools of all of us having more than 1 billion smartphones in our hands and being able to create our own content, share that own content, and with this intelligent device in our hand, we have the chance to get content spoon-fed to us when we need it, when we want to consume it, when it's relevant, when we have a moment of time to get there, right? Many of the best of breed winners have been leveraging this, but last year, for the first time, we saw SAP with SuccessFactors doing some interesting innovation around them at an older plateau platform. Then this year in February at the HCM show, Oracle announced their new learning starting with the social mobile pieces, and now we have Workday taking pretty much the same approach from that perspective, looking at a new way, a 21st century way of how to do and tackle learning. And no surprise on the Workday side, very similar to the other vendors, of course, is that it's well integrated with their rest of the system, not only to the HR core side to really understand and know what is the vendor doing, but equally on the financial side. So the fabled holy grace of training effectiveness, which each vendor, each enterprise wants to know. I'm spending so much on training. What does it really help and do? You're coming a little bit closer to that. We saw some interesting and good demos. What Workday is leveraging here, at least for the initial demos, because the whole thing is out at least a year. It's scheduled to come out in Workday 27. For the record, what is coming out the next few weeks is going to be Workday 25. Workday is leveraging an acquisition of MediaCore. Victoria, I believe, British Columbia-based Canadian company who's been doing learning with electronic media. So good move by Oracle, sorry, good move by not SAP, not Oracle, but by Workday today. Sorry, too many conferences recently. So move into learning and closing that gap which exists on the talent management side now. And like Anil was saying in the presentation, customers have been asking for Workday to provide that functionality, and it's always good for vendors to listen to customers what they want to provide. The next point for me was in the reporting, dashboarding, scorecard area. Interesting because last year's Workday, the roadmap which was announced was purely about analytical application. So to remember us, right, Workday announced last year 6 insights application, as they call them, 3 in the HR area, 3 in the finance area. The finance ones were employee expense deviation, customer collections, and financial scorecards. The HR ones were retention risk, career path recommendations, and workforce scorecards. So Workday has delivered some of them. The customer collections is something that is still coming. The retention risk has shipped, but the career path is going to be in something new, which was shown previously in the keynote was going to be a career graph, a recommendation for employees where they could develop, where they could evolve in their career paths into. So a little less of that I asked in the executive Q&A, why there's less happening, and the answer was that Workday has been listening to customers, and customers are saying fix some things around reporting and more bread and butter business intelligence first. Very unfortunate from my perspective. Whoever follows me knows I'm a proponent of true analytics being something which take an action or make a recommendation. I was very happy that Workday carried that banner. Unfortunately, today I saw some slides where there was a header of analytics for things which are not analytics, but are still very important. So it's good to see that Workday listens to customers, providing better reporting capabilities, and especially providing scorecard capabilities, right? So, which is not the classic enterprise scorecard you might know from a GRC application, but a lightweight way of looking at some KPIs. And what is interesting is they can be shared. They can be shared not only inside of a tenant, a customer, they can be shared beyond them. So it's a potential marketplace item. But there was a explicit shout out to partners, consultants, who now can leverage and potentially even monetize, I was specifically said about that, their scorecard. So an interesting way of doing it. And most importantly, we see there's a general trend. We saw that last week at ADP as an example, and overall that HR vendors can no longer only provide reporting, business intelligence dashboards with only HR data, right? It has to be enriched with the data which really matters to an enterprise, which is the performance data in sales, in quality, in manufacturing, in customer satisfaction, which is stored outside of the HR applications. And making sense of the HR-related data around employees' pay, to start there, location, satisfaction, all the other HR data, bring the two together is a very important thing. So it's good to see that third-party data can equally be integrated with the scorecard function. So good progress on the reporting side, not necessarily all the analytical input I would like to see. Not sure at this point if there are some platform challenges or it's truly a work they're listening to this, but we know that predictive analytics, analytics in general, are not an easy way to build for all of the vendors, and even more tougher thing for practitioners to understand. So some good progress there. Back to homework, basically, on doing reporting and scorecards. And we'll have to talk to customers. A few customers we spoke to on the show floor and in breaks at the conference. We're very positive about this. So definitely, at least from our spot checks here, Workday is doing what the customers want, which is always a good thing for software vendors and enterprise in general. Coming to the third takeaway here, that is on platform, right? As a former enterprise software developer, I always want to know how things work and how they function, operate. So I had the opportunity to chat with Workday's CEO, Stan Sweet, listen to a great presentation of David Clark and Jim, I'm not sure, sorry, apologies, online, this is live. A gentleman who runs the infrastructure pieces, and kudos to Workday. They've been much more transparent than before about how their architecture works. I can't share everything from the sake of time and from a confidentiality perspective, but my previous concerns coming to Las Vegas, which I had and also shared in my preview, check it out in my blog, is everything acquires technical depth. It's a constant process, like us inhaling oxygen, exhaling nitrogen, and too much nitrogen is not good for us. Same thing happens almost naturally for platforms, but it's good to see, and my detailed questions there, that Workday keeps innovating on their platforms. Also good to see that Workday seems to have realized it has to share some more of that information. There was a video featuring Stan Sweet, their CTO, in the keynote, talking about a number of enhancements they've done. Happy to speak about them. Workday found a way to share data much more rapidly inside of memory, which for us is a surprise, but the interesting solution is beyond servers. So basically what Workday is doing is kind of like grid computing across servers, finding a fast way of doing this, and this allows Workday customers to get sandboxes earlier, Workday test boxes, and so a very interesting point. Another concern which always comes up, and that was addressed in David Clark's presentation, is memory utilization, right? These databases keep growing. Can you keep it in memory? The cost of memory is expensive as a storage medium. So it's very interesting which kind of things Workday has introduced in terms of compression, but also in terms of clearing open things and other elements to get better scaling out of memory. At the same time, Workday shared how fast customer databases are growing. Last year, the largest one was around 60 gigabyte. It's currently around 100 and is moving to 200 gigabytes. So a significant scale, but I'm much more comfortable as a more technical person who wants to know how things go, that Workday is doing the live renovation on the platform. And really looks like the major dependency Workday has done about being meta-driven meta-model-driven declarative environment. If that's a design assumption which is essentially in there. It has managed to do many of the things which often limit enterprise application, like multiple threaded reads and multiple threaded updates, which makes me much more optimistic from a technical perspective in regards of the platform itself. So good grades for that on the platform and operations side equally, which was very interesting. So if it's recorded somewhere, I recommend anybody technically interested in how it works to look at it. Coming to the tidbits as we're in here in time, I talked about what happened to the Inside apps. Inside apps interesting because of new SKU and new monetization for Workday. No further ones announced from what I can say. So a little more quiet in that perspective. Would love to learn more and see more on the predictive analytics, because this age is right now all about moving the intelligence from in front of the LCD, like where I'm sitting, to behind of the LCD. So making machines, making predictive analytics, recommend things to do, or even do things automatically for me if I trust them. And I mentioned the acquisition of MediaCore. It's a core, pun intended, for the learning offering. And equally, in April, I missed that acquisition. Workday acquired Denver-based GridCrafts, which provides a spreadsheet tool, very compatible to Excel. I had a chance to chat with the CEO as a quick function. As a quick side note, hallway conversation. You can take your existing Excel spreadsheets, including formulas and so on, run them right away, and then of course Workday will not do that going forward, but make it part of the overall Workday product family and fabric, meaning that information can be directly integrated and provided there, and the reads and writes into the enterprise data will be based on your security profile, will be secured, stored in the right place. All the good things which you can bring as an enterprise software vendor to the spreadsheet piece are there. And spreadsheets inside of Workday called worksheets. We saw that already as new functionality on the compensation side, where there's always kind of like a spreadsheet-based piece. So right now, have to go into detail. It's the 123rd, that's a clearly counted scientific number, attempt of an enterprise software vendor to get business users of not using Excel for all the number of reasons. But this one looks pretty promising at this point for making users work less in Excel, which ultimately I think they also want. It's their tool for doing everything, but if you can find a better way of running it, very interesting. Another tidbit is Trust Workday. It was kind of like intransparent what are uptimes, downtimes. So Trust Salesforce will come into the Trust website of Salesforce will come term in the industry, queryable publicly. So Workday is doing a similar thing with Trust Workday. So kudos for that. More transparency, seeing which instance up and down is always something helpful for customers. The biggest part, and Joe Korngiebel's piece, always interesting what the Workday is planning on the UI side. The only spontaneous applause which happened during the keynote was when he showed additional branding. So surprising to us, little things which analysts don't often look at us are very important for end users and customers. Being able to make the Workday solution your own with your logos, your colors, and so on is a significant step. The other thing that is interesting, kind of like looks like the UI thing is going beyond just the user experience, but also some functionality. So the collaborative functionality, which also comes from the acquisition of GridCraft, that you can collaborate on what you're editing and doing in the spreadsheet, is something which is going to get standardized and being rolled out more as a part of tech stack and enabling many other functions inside of Workday. And then there's mobile. Significant investment from Workday on the mobile side. I just realized looking at my slides here that the light might be getting better, but it looks still okay, a little grizzly. More important, my audio comes over than that you see me. And now that's my train of thought. This is all live. Is on mobile, right? Apple was always a first citizen for Workday. I think it's good to see that already in summer there was the same dedication made for Android, which is in some regions of the world significantly more market share than the Apple platform has. So that's a good move by Workday overall. So coming to the very least, a little more in details, Workday implemented an effective date change system to interface the effective date system, hint, that is an SAP system. And the interesting thing is by implementing this, which is not trivial, we've done this in my personal past, so not an easy thing to change another HR core system from the effective date perspective, is a significant reduction in interface effort. Leon Leventhal, the head of product, came out with a tangible number. I always love tangible numbers, that the effort will go down from 1,000 units to 100 units. So 90% reduction in interface, which is possible because effective dating can be a lot of trouble, a lot of testing, a lot of work in building interface to an effective data system like, for instance, a good move, taking away some of the ecosystem revenue. And talking about the ecosystem here, one major move today happened there. IBM acquired Meteorix, one of the smaller Workday implementation parts, which shows that the overall Workday ecosystem is making big players like IBM. The big sponsors here have been Accenture and Deloitte, the Titan sponsors in front of the show floor. Visit the show floor, by the way. Good traction dynamics there. It looked a little smaller than last year at Moscone. Overall, jumping back and forward, the conference is very well attended with over 5,000, well over 5,000 attendees. Check the tweets. There's a breakdown who's coming from customers, who's coming from prospects, who's coming from partners, who's coming from Workday. Interesting numbers to see, and I'll probably put in the blog post too. But back to the ecosystem doing well, obviously attracting some of the bigger players. Mentioned the Titan sponsors here with Deloitte and Accenture, and mentioned IBM. And that's pretty much my takeaways and the tidbits. So longer than my usual videos here. I think I did a user error here because it looks like I didn't turn on the Q&A application, because I would be happy to take some Q&As. It should be turned on, but looks like everybody's kind of like having a number of a few dozen watchers here. Thank you for watching today. So that's pretty much from my side. Look for the blog post, which will have this video embedded into it, and some of the key takeaways and text, so they are searchable. So thank you so much for watching. Workday Rising is continuing for, I believe, another 2 days. It's going to be bye-bye for us analysts tomorrow. So stay tuned for more things coming out of Workday Rising. Overall, I think a very good event for Workday as a vendor. And if an event is good for a vendor, then surprise, it's also very good for customers, which see more traction, more investment, and some new key capabilities. Thank you for watching. Again, appreciate it. Bye-bye.